Hey everyone, Shane here with eTrailer.com. Today I have a 2017 Chevrolet Traverse. I'm going to walk through how to install Roadmaster's Diode wiring kit. Diode wiring kit allows the motorhome to transfer light signals back to your factory taillights. The diodes are going to mount behind each taillight to factory wiring, and what they do is they protect the factory wiring from any backfeed from the motorhome. The nice thing about this kit is, once they're installed, the only thing we have to do when we're ready to tow is plug our umbilical from the front of our vehicle to our motorhome. It's going to give us all of our proper lighting signals, brake lights, running lights, and turn signals so that everybody around us knows what we're doing. When we're not connected to our vehicle, or when we are not flat tuned our vehicle, this is going to be our 6-pole plug. This is what it's going to look like on the vehicle. You can see it's going to maintain a nice clean look. When we're ready to tow, again, as I mentioned, take our umbilical cord, plug it into our 6-pole plug, opposite end goes into the RV, and your wiring side is done. The plug is a 6-pole plug, so it does give you 2 extra pins if you want to run a battery charge line or any other accessory. As far as the installation process, installation is very simple. It's very straightforward. The hardest part about this installation is finding a way to route the wire connected to the back of the 6-pole plug to the back of the vehicle. Other than that, as long as you stay away from anything hot or moving, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Now that we've gone over some of the features, let's walk through how to get it installed. To start your installation, you can start from the front or the back. I always find it easier to start from the front. The 2 rods coming out for your 6-pole plug. Take some of that wire, tape it up there. And then we're going to route our wire to the back of the vehicle. Now when routing it, we want to make sure we're staying away from anything hot or moving. What I did is ran it right down through this opening here in this panel, went across. Your frame rail runs right here. You have a hose, ran it to here. There's a slot in this cross brace to your frame rail. I ran it through it because we have our steering mechanism here. And then of course we have our hard lines. Zip tied it here, ran it through all the components here. It'll help keep it up off the ground. And then back at our rear axle, I followed my body panel up. You have a hard line right here in the middle. Zip tied it up high here, over the top here. Zip tied it to that line, went through here, and then over top of the hitch if you have one. Then what you're going to do is you're going to separate your wires all the way up to where the hitch is. Take your green wire. What I did is route it across over top of this panel to here. I put a little bit of electrical tape on it where it was touching this metal section to keep it away from my exhaust. Ran it through, came out of this hole. We're going to leave this hang here for now. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go up, remove our taillights, and we're going to take these 3 wires and run them up to our driver's side taillight pocket. To remove your taillights, you're going to open your hatch. You're going to have 2 caps here. Take a small screwdriver. You need to pop these loose. We're going to take a 7mm socket and remove the 2 bolts. And we're going to take our light and we're going to pull straight back on it. And we need to disconnect the wiring. It may be easier if you slide this off. And flip it over, there's a red tab there. You need to push it all the way up as far as you can get it, like that. We're going to kind of push in, and these can be a little bit of a pain. Kind of push in a little bit, push down on that, and you're going to have to work with it. And that'll separate it. You're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. Next, we need to get our 3 wires up here. If you have an airline tube wire hanger that works, if not, take a piece of string. You can put a bolt on it, you can put a nut on it, anything that's heavy. You're just going to drop it down. And it's going to come out the bottom. We're going to take our 3 wires, our yellow, our brown, and our white. We'll attach them to the end and pull them up. Remove your pull wire, and we're going to hold on to it when we run our wires up to the other side of the vehicle. Double check underneath to make sure the wires aren't caught on anything. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the tape off of these wires. We may end up having to remove this little fastener here if we don't have enough room. Next, we need to test to determine which wire we're going to be using for our right turn and brake signal. That looks like our yellow wire is going to be our brake and turn signal on our driver's side. Now we'll test for our running light signal. We'll turn our lights off and we'll test that wire one more time. And it may be easier if you have a second person that can just turn them off and on. Now we're not getting signal. So that means our purple and our yellow wire on our driver's side are the 2 wires we're going to be using. Yellow is going to be brake and turn. Purple is going to be our running light signal. I'm going to start with my brake and turn signal. We're going to cut that wire in half. We're going to strip back each end. We're going to take one of our diodes, pull off 2 of the female spade connectors. You're going to put one on each one of the wires. You're going to take your diode, single side goes towards the light. Go ahead and plug that back in. That's going to recomplete that circuit. We're going to take our yellow wire out of the 3 wires that we pulled up. We're going to cut it to length, add on your 3rd spade connector, and plug it into your diode. That's going to give you your brake and turn signal from the motorhome to your driver's side tail light. Next, we will do the running lights. Running lights, we're going to do the same thing here. A purple wire on each end. We're going to take this one. We're going to take the 2 blue ones off. Add those to the end of the wires. Add on our diode. Again, single side goes towards the light. We just completed our circuit for our factory wiring. The only thing different between this diode and this one is our brown wire. We're going to cut it to size. Only we're going to strip back both ends. We're going to take these 2, put them together. We're going to take the larger yellow spade connector, add it on, and then put it on to your diode. This is going to give you the jumper wire that's going to run over to the passenger side. So once we get these mounted, we're going to mount them right down in this area. We're going to take this brown wire, we're going to drop it back down and ride it across the same way we did as a green wire. Each diode on the back has got 2-sided tape already on it. Make sure your area is clean there. And we're going to stick these in place. Just like that. Take the brown wire. Get that pushed down in there. And then we'll do our ground. Ground wire really can be mounted anywhere on a metal surface. I'm probably going to put it right in here. Cut that down. Add on the ring terminal that comes in the kit. And we're going to take the self-tapping screw and mount it to the body of the vehicle. Just like that. After that, maybe a good idea is to add some RTV silicone onto the top here so no water sits on it. Once you get that on, you can reinstall your taillight. Now these bolts sit kind of far back in there. A little trick I learned, take a piece of paper towel, put it over your socket, put that in, it keeps the bolt from coming out. Makes it a little bit easier to get it in there. Now we've got our brown wire ran across, but you'll notice it's not long enough. The extra white wire that comes in your kit, strip back one end. It's going to come with a butt connector. Add it on, and then we're going to extend the brown wire so it reaches up to our taillight pocket on the passenger side. Go ahead and wrap this with some electrical tape. Now that we've got our two wires ran across, go ahead and go back up. Pull these two wires up the same way we did on the driver's side. So we determined for testing over here, so the green wire is going to be brake and turn signal. Brown wire is going to be our running light signal. Diodes are going to connect the same way, with the exception of our running light signal. We're only going to have one wire coming into it instead of two, like we did on the driver's side. Once you get the passenger side done, you can reinstall your taillight. We'll hook up the 6-pole plug in the front. We'll test it out to make sure it's working correctly. Now, as I mentioned before, we're going to temporarily install our 6-pole plug so we can test out everything to make sure it's working correctly. We are going to be taking it back off because, as you can see, we have the fascia removed. When you go to reinstall it, you want to make sure you put the boot on first, feed your wires through it, and then once you get your wires connected, that boot is going to fit over the top to help protect those connections. For now, we're not going to be installing the boot, just the plug. On the back of the plug, and it may be kind of hard to see, but they're all marked on which ones would go where. TM is going to be running lights, GD is going to be ground, LT is going to be left turn, RT is going to be right turn. Make sure you don't remove these screws all the way. They're really small. RT, which is right turn, is going to be green. LT, which is going to be left turn, is going to be yellow. GD is going to be ground, which is going to be the white. And of course TM for running lights is going to be the brown. Now we're going to test out our wiring using an alternate power source. This is going to simulate being hooked up to your RV. Tail lights, left turn, brake lights, right turn. Now that we know everything's working correctly, we can go ahead and remove our 6-pole plug, add any other components like your braking system, anything else you may be adding to set up your flat toe. It's going to be easier with the fascia removed to add all of that. Once you've got it all added, reinstall your fascia in reverse order from the way you took it off, and then you're going to have to trim around all the components you've added. That's going to do it for a look at the Roadmaster Diode wiring kit on a 2017 Chevrolet Traverse.